Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Coding Care. Today we are going to dive into a important concept in microservice. But before I reveal the topic, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever faced performance issue in your Spring Boot application due to repeated database calls? Or have you wondered how to improve response time efficiently? Well, the solution to the Spring Boot cache. So in this video, I'll explain what caching is and how it works in Spring Boot and how it helps optimize your application's performance. So stay tuned till the end. Let's get started without delay. First, let me explain what is caching mechanism. Suppose this is my Spring Boot application and this Spring Boot application is fetching the data from the database, and this is, let's say, this is database, this is MySQL database. Let's say here, suppose I am sending the request to the application for getting some response. Suppose I have a fund services and I am passing the fund ID, I am getting the fund information. In first request, I am sending the fund ID is 1 and the request will go to this application, and the application will read the data from the database and give the response. If I'll send the request again by passing the same fund ID, then again it will go to the database and it will fetch the record and give to me. If I'll send the request again by passing the same fund ID, then again it will go to the database and fetching the data and it will give the response. But here, if I'll send the fund ID is 1 each and every time, then the application is connected to the database each and every time. So performance issue will be happen. To overcome these problems, what we'll do, I'll create one caching here. Okay, so first time when I'll send the request, first it will check whether the data is available inside cache or not. If it is not available, then it will go to the database, then it will fetch the record, then first it will store the data into the cache, then it will send the response. Then again when I will send the request, it will go to cache and it will check whether the data is available or not. If it is available, so instead of hitting the database, it will read the data from caching and give the response. This is how Spring Boot caching mechanism is working. Okay, let's do implementation. How will work in our Spring Boot project? So here you can see there are so many services is there: fund services, config server, API gateway, all these things. Okay, in fund services, here in fund controller, I have two endpoint. One is create fund and one is get fund, and we are passing fund ID. Here let me create two more endpoint for deleting and for updating. So here let me create one method, public response entity, and let's say this is update one, right? So fund, then update fund, and then I am passing the fund as a request body at the rate request body fund, then call the update fund method from fund services. Let's say fund service dot update fund by passing fund object. Now it will return the updated fund updated fund equal to, let me create this method, create method update fund in fund service. So here it will return the fund object. Here I'll write fund repository dot save of fund. Okay, it will return the updated fund. Now I'll return this updated fund. Okay, so here I can return this one like new response entity by passing saved fund and http updated fund and http status dot okay. Yeah, so now make it as annotation at the rate put mapping, and this is slash update fund. Okay, let me create one more endpoint for delete the fund. At the rate get mapping, I'm passing the path as slash delete fund. Then here instead of get method name it is delete fund, and it will return, okay, this is returning string. Then request, instead of request param I can use at the rate path variable, and here I'll pass the id as well as fund id. Now here this is fund id. Now the fund id will come as a string. So here what I'll do, I'll convert to this fund id into integer. So integer dot percent of fund id. Then this fund id I'll pass to this service class. So fund service dot delete fund by passing this fund id. Okay, so let me create this method, create method delete fund, and it will return as string. Then now here I can make into one as fund id, this is fund id. Then first I'll check whether the fund id is available or not. So fund repo dot find by id, and I'll pass the fund id. So it will return a fund object, right? Existing fund. Now I'll check if existing fund dot is present. If it is present, then fund repo dot delete by id, and I'll pass the fund id here. Then it will not return anything. It's yeah, it's void. Here I can declare one variable string deleted message equal to null. Now if it is deleted successfully, then I can update the variable delete message equal to deleted successfully of id plus fund id. Okay, now if it is not, else deleted message equal to fund id is not available. Okay, now I'll return the deleted message. Now same here I can return, okay, yeah, deleted fund. Okay, now I'll return, instead of new string I can return this new response entity. Then instead of shared fund, it's a deleted fund. Why it is giving error, this response entity? Okay, so I'll wrapping this one also a response entity of string. Yeah, now 4 endpoint is ready. One is create fund, one is get fund, one is updated fund, and one is deleted the fund API. Now I'll implement the Spring Boot caching. So before implement the Spring Boot caching, we need the dependency, right? So first we'll go to the Maven repository, Maven repo. Yeah, here search Spring Boot caching, Spring Boot cache. So here this one, here this one, Spring Boot starter cache. So just copy this one, and here in form.xml file I just paste it here. Okay, now no need to mention the version, it will update automatically. I'll deleting this one. Now we have added the dependency. Now in application.properties file we need to mention which type of caching we need to apply. There are different caching mechanism is there, like simple cache, Ehcache, Redis cache. So we need to mention here which type of cache I need to implement in my project. For now I am using the simple cache. In the next video I'll use how we can implement the Redis cache. So here we need to add one property called spring dot cache dot type. This is simple, right? So we need to mention simple. Yeah, that's it. So when we will mention the spring cache type is simple, internally concurrent map cache manager will be created. First of all we need to enable the caching. So go to the main class font service application, then here we need to enable the cache, enable caching. Now we have done add the dependency. Now we have mentioned in properties file which type of caching I will be apply, then I have enabled the caching. Now I will create one class called caching configuration. So create one class called caching config. So this is not font service, I can create in config package. Yeah, then finish. So here make it as @configuration. Now what I'll do here, I'll create the bin for cache manager. So here create a method called public cache manager. Yeah, cache manager. Then I'll return new concurrent map cache manager. This one I'll return. Now while I'll creating this object, I'll mention the cache name as well. So let's say I'm mentioning the fund. Here I can mention multiple cache name here, like fund, suppose user cache. So user related things I'll keep inside user cache, and fund related things I'll keep inside the fund cache. That's why I can mention like this one. So for now I'll mention only fund. That means I'll create the fund cache. Okay, now I'll make it as @bin. Now it's done. Now I'll go to the service class. This is my service class. Here I have already created a method for get the fund, this one. So I call this method get fund method. Here I'll apply the caching mechanism. I'll use one annotation called @cacheable. Here I'll mention value. So value is nothing but cache name. So what is the cache name? We have already defined in the configuration file. Here the cache name is fund. So here I can mention the cache name is fund. Now what is the key? So when we'll store the data, it will store as a key and value pair, like it's a map. So the key is equal to fund id I'll mentioning. So instead of direct mentioning fund id, it is has then fund id. So here fund id is string, then it will store here, like it's if I'll pass 1, then the key is 1, then the value is whatever it will return, fund, the value is fund, like that it will store inside the cache. Let me run this application. So before running this application, first we have to run the service registry. Then we have to run this config server, because if you see in my previous video, I have centralized the database information. That's why first I have to run this application like config server, then this fund service. Yeah, now it is running. Let's check localhost colon 8761. Yeah, here, yeah, this is fund service, right? And then why the config server not came in resources properties file? Okay, this one we did not register into the service registry. Okay, it's fine. Now the fund services is up. Now I'll send the request to this API, get fund API. So go to the postman here, and this is get fund, right? And I'm passing as a fund ID is 46. Send the request. Now the response came, but it takes 1 millisecond. Now I'll send, if you'll check here also, this one service, and this is the select query. That means it hits the database. Now I'm send it again by passing the same fund ID. Yeah, now it's 10 millisecond only. Now this time only call this fund services, but it is not call this database. Okay, that means it is reading the data from the cache. So in this way we can avoid the database hit again and again, and we can increase the performance issue. Now I'll call the delete fund API by passing this fund ID. So here in fund controller, delete fund API is there. And if I'll pass this fund ID as 46, then this record will delete from the database as well as the cache. Then how we'll implement this one in cache? So in delete fund API, here I can use one annotation called cache evict. First, we need to mention the cache name. So the cache name is fund, and the key equal to is fund id, right? So this is hash and fund id. Let's rerun this application. Yeah, application has started. Now I just send the request to get one. So it is 114 millisecond takes, then second time if I'll send, now it is 11 second. That means now this record is available inside and cache. Let's create one more API here, duplicate, and this is delete API, delete fund, and here I'll pass this delete fund API, delete fund, delete fund, and we need to mention this one as delete and send the request. 405 method not allowed. Why? Okay, so here I did some mistake. Instead of get mapping, we need to use delete mapping. Delete mapping. Let's rerun this application one more time. Yeah, it started. Now get fund one more time and send the request. Okay, now it's 10 millisecond. Now this record is available inside cache. Now when I'll call this delete fund API, and by passing 46, yeah, deleted successfully of id is 46. Now if I'll go to this API and hit it again, it should not be come, right? So I'm sending the request, but it came. Why? Let's check the database. Okay, here, yeah, the 46 record is not available. Okay, but here still it is coming from cache. So when we'll use the cache, we need to handle properly, because if you see here while we are caching the data, we are stored the fund id as a string, but here when you are deleting the fund id from the cache, here fund id is integer, so the data is mismatching. So we can do one thing, instead of getting the fund id as string, I can get this fund id as a integer. So here I can convert this one, this fund id, instead of passing string, I'll pass the integer value. So integer dot percent of fund id. Now in fund service, instead of string, I'll take this is an integer value, and no need to convert here. We can directly pass the fund id. Okay, so just rerun this application. Yeah, it started. Now if I'll send, now 47 record is not available, I am sending the 47. Yeah, now it's 119 millisecond. Now I'm sending one more time, it's 10 millisecond. Okay, so now when we'll call this delete fund and I'll pass this 47, then it should be deleted from database as well as the cache, right? So I'll send the request. Now deleted successfully ID. Now I'll go to the get fund, I'll hit it again. Yeah, now I'm getting the empty response. That means the 47 key is not available inside the cache. Now we can write the condition also. Like suppose I have a record, list of record I have, and I want to cache whose the fund id is greater than 1. Okay, so here we can write the condition also. Here we can use one property condition, and here we can mention his fund id is greater than of 1. If it is greater than 1, then only the key will store inside the cache. Now rerun the application. Let's check whether this condition is working or not. So I'll go to here, and in get fund, instead of passing 47, I'll pass 1, and I'm sending the request. It is calling the database. If I am calling again one more time, it call, send again one more time call. So that means it is not going inside to the cache. If I'll send the 47, okay, now okay, that's 47 already deleted. Okay, 48 I'll pass 48. Yeah, this 48 response I got, and it hit the database. Now if I'll send the request one more time, now it's only 9 millisecond, and it is not calling the database here. So we can write the condition also. Then how to update the cache? Suppose, so this is the fund id 48, I want to change the net asset value. Okay, when I'll change the net asset value, the data should be changed inside the cache, right? So how we can implement this one? So in update fund API, we can use one annotation called cache put. So cache put is nothing but for updating the cache. So here the value is fund, and the key equal to, so this is a fund object, so we can mention like hash of fund dot, inside this fund object this fund id is available, right? So we can copy this variable name and we can paste it here, fund dot fund id. Okay, so let's rerun this application one more time. Okay, so here send the request. Yeah, now this record came. If I'll send it one more time, now it's 14 millisecond. Let's create one more API and update API. This is update fund, this is post request, and what is the URL? Update fund, and I'll not pass this 46. Instead of, I'll pass the body. What I'll pass, so I'll go to the get fund, I just copy this response and beautify. Now I'll change the net asset value. Let's say it's a 99. I just converted to 98 to 99. Now send the request. Again method not okay, so this is put request, send the request. Yeah, now I got the response as 135.99. Let's check to call this get fund whether this value is updating or not. Yeah, now it's changing to 135.98 to 99. So in this way we can implement the caching mechanism. Now sometimes what happen, suppose my application is refreshing every 1 hour, then how we can implement that also? So this is called time to live. So we are using the Spring cache type is simple. So when we are using the simple cache type, so time to live is not available. So we have to write our own logic. Like we can create one method, public void clear fund cache, and here we can write like sysout fund cache is cleared now. Then what we need to do here, we can use at the rate cache evict, cache evict, and in cache evict the value is fund, and what is the key? So no need to mention the key because we are clearing the cache. Then how will clearing the cache? We need to mention one property called all entries equal to true. True means inside the cache whatever key is there, all the value will be cleared. Now how I can call this method in every 1 hour? Let's, instead of 1 hour, I can make it as 20 seconds. So use one annotation at the rate scheduled. Here fixed rate equal to, so I can mention the, it is in millisecond. So for 20 millisecond is nothing but 20,000. So 20,000 millisecond means is nothing but 20 second. Now this method will call every 20 second and we have to enable this schedule. So here in fund service application I can use at the rate enable scheduling. Let's run this application fund service. Okay, let's clear all these things. Yeah, send the request here. Now it's 9 milliseconds, that means it is unavailable inside the cache. Let's wait for 20 seconds. Yeah, now after 20 seconds font cache has cleared. Now this message has came. Now if I'll send the request, now it's taking 60 millisecond. Okay, and hits the database. Okay, so every 20 second it will call, this method will call. So in this way we can clear the cache. Now if you want to get the information about the cache, how cache is storing look like, then we can write the logic. So here I can create one API, public string get cache info, and this is string, and this is get mapping get cache. Now here how we'll get the caching information? So we need to go to the cache manager. So here I can call the cache manager here, private cache manager now I'm using at the rate auto add. So here we can call cache manager dot get cache, and I'll pass the cache name here. The cache name is fund. Okay, so it will return a cache. Now we can, okay, directly we can return this cache. So here instead of string I can make it as cache, and instead of doing this, return. Okay, so let's rerun this application, this fund service. Okay, so here just send the request for get fund. Okay, now it's coming from cache. Now I'll create one API for getting the cache information. Cache. Now here what we'll do, get cache, this is API name, no need to pass the fund ID, send the request. Yeah, this is native cache. Inside the cache is nothing is there, because we can do one thing in fund service. I'll just commenting this part because this one is running every 20 seconds. Rerun the application. Yeah, it started. Now I'll go to here, send the request. Now this one I'll send the request. So here the name of this cache is fund, and this is native cache, and only we have one key right inside this cache. This is key and this is value. So this is like a map. Okay, if I'll send the request one more time and I'll passing as, let's say, 52, passing 52 as fund id. Okay, then again I'll hit this cache API. Yeah, now two record is there inside cache. One is 48 and one is 52. So in this way caching mechanism is working in Spring Boot application. So as of now we have discussed only the simple cache, how we are using the simple cache in Spring Boot application. In the next video I'll tell you how we can use the Redis cache, because if you use the Redis cache, so many benefits we can get. So if you have liked my video, please share and share more and more, and subscribe my channel for the latest video. Thank you everyone.